Hi everybody. My name is Mehul Vyas. I am a stage 4 throat cancer survivor. I have with me today Dr. Rohan Bartake, who is a very who is very famous for his work on helping people quit smoking and addictions. And it's going to be a very casual talk today. I, being a former smoker and a cancer survivor, and Dr. Rohan here too, I'm going to ask him some questions, and we're going to just have a formal talk. So, Dr. Rohan, welcome to the meeting today, and it's great, and it's my honor to have you here.
Thank you.
And I'm sure all the viewers who are going to listen to this will get a lot to know about the addiction and all. So, would you mind introducing yourself, please?
Sure. First of all, thank you for this, and I am also. It's a pleasure to come on this platform because I always look for opportunities where we can spread this message to more and more people, and I really admire your work as well. So I'm Dr. Rohan Bartake. I am a full-time tobacco de-addiction specialist, and currently I'm working with Indian Cancer Society. It's a big organization working pan-India for cancer prevention, awareness, early screening, detection, and treatment, and also rehab. And I am taking care of the awareness department, and specifically oral cancer and smoking and tobacco de-addiction. So that was about me, and I have good experience of working in this field. I do a lot of awareness activities, plus I also help patients to quit the habit. Plus I'm into training doctors and dentists to be a tobacco de-addiction specialist. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. That was so nice to hear from you. And when I think about you, when I hear you being so passionate, like what makes you so passionate to help people? What that in you? Like you wanted to from your domain, you just wanted to come out and then try helping people. So what was that started it in you?
Yeah, to be very honest, I was always interested in public health. I'm a homeopathic doctor, but in spite of it, I was always interested in public health. So I did my MBA in social entrepreneurship also, and I was always associated with NGOs working in health sector. So I worked in villages, I worked with different PLCs and all. I always associated with the public health. I mean, it's a preventive medicine, more of. I don't know. Fortunately, I got in contact with Dr. Sultan Pradhan for this tobacco solution project, which was headed by Dr. Nancy from Harvard. She is the pioneer of tobacco de-addiction clinic, like 50 years back in MGS Boston. So it was very fortunate to get to work with these people, and that is where I came in contact with this tobacco de-addiction field. And when I came in contact, I was always interested in, as I said, in public health and preventive medicine. And this field, I realized that there is a huge requirement. I mean, there is something which is creating a huge impact. At the same time, this field is not known to much people. So I took it very passionately, and I always love to talk to people. I love to counsel people. I love to provide people with help to to prevent diseases. And so this is a sector of medicine which is not that developed in India, the preventive medicine or the public health field. So I took it very passionately, and actually today I have been able to create a different space in this field, and people do recognize me, and that also gives me a huge satisfaction. Plus, the main satisfaction is the what you get from your patients and their relatives. That is immense. I mean, that has no other thing could have given me that kind of job satisfaction. So the blessings what you get from the patients and their relatives is immense because you're helping them to come out of things, and you're preventing them to getting into some deadly diseases and all. So that is something which inspires me every day to do it on more and help more and more people.
Awesome. That's really great. Well, there are very few people like you who go out of the box and think for others. I, being a former smoker, I know it is really tough to quit. I smoked my last cigarette when I was going into the hospital for my checkup. So I knew there was something wrong in me, and that was because of smoking. But फिर भी वो आदत नहीं छूट रही थी कि ओके यार पता नहीं अंदर डॉक्टर बोलेगा कैंसर है बट आई जस्ट वांट टू स्मोक. So I was like so into that habit of smoking. So why is it so difficult to smoke? Like why is it so difficult to quit? I'm sorry. Why is it people just cannot leave that cigarette.
Yeah, I would definitely like to explain that, and I would, in further of a discussion, I would also like to know about your journey also. But to answer your question, see, basically, since I am working in this field, I'll tell you some basic things about this tobacco addiction. See, it's not a simple addiction. It is something. It's like the Amar Akbar Anthony. It is a three kind of addictions going on at the same time. It's a physical addiction, it's a psychological addiction, and it's also a behavioral addiction. So imagine a person attacked by this three kind of addiction at the same time. So it is easy for me to tell a person that stop smoking or stop eating tobacco, but it is difficult for that particular person because these three kinds of addictions are going on at the same time. So physical addiction, I need is this nicotine in the tobacco actually goes to your brain and creates receptor level changes. So these are actual physical receptor level changes. So we call this physical addiction of physical nicotine dependence. Second is the psychological addiction. The word psychological itself defines that there is a strong psychological association between the person and that particular product. For example, some people will tell you, whenever I am stressed, I need to smoke. Whenever I want to have smooth bowel movements, I need to consume tobacco. But there is no as such direct correlation because we all don't smoke to pass tools. So that is a correlation which they have developed, and that psychological association is so strong that no matter what best medicine or best counseling give you, it won't work unless you break that psychological association. Third is a behavioral pattern. It becomes a routine over a period of time, like a time, place, person, and thing. People will tell that at this time I need a cigarette, at this place I need a cigarette, or with this group of friends I need a cigarette, or with this particular thing, like with tea I need a cigarette, with alcohol I need a cigarette. So over a period of time, it becomes a part of your routine. So there is a combination of this physical, psychological, and behavioral. It may not be always a combination of three. It could be only behavioral or only psychological. But most of the time, it is a combination of all these three which is going on in a person, and that is the reason it becomes very difficult for that person to come out of it. But definitely, if they get a proper help or proper guidance with medicine support, definitely they can come out of it. But I'm trying to tell you why it is difficult for sometimes for the people to, on their own to get out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, so that is what I wanted to ask you as you explained about your journey. So I just wanted to know quickly if you could just tell our viewers, I mean, you have could come out of it.
Yeah, so I learned it the hard way. I started smoking right from college, like peer pressure, those का pressure, like for no reason. अरे क्या डरता है and all those things. So just to look cool, and it started with just sometimes, and then I got addicted to it naturally. Or फिर it kept with me always. Like after my college, I started doing a job, and the cigarette continued. So it was never. I never thought of quitting it because I was always in that group of friends or people who would always quit, because I would select that group. In fact, मतलब मुझे मालूम है वो smoke करता है तो मुझे break में उसके साथ जाना है. So we would go together. So that thought never came of quitting. So it went on, it kept going, and then in 2014, I started losing a lot of weight, and my voice started becoming very hoarse and all those symptoms. So आपको पता होता है ना कि आप जब चोरी करते हो तो आप कभी ना कभी पकड़े जाओगे. तो that thought was there that I used to smoke. My wife, my family, everyone used to tell me यार छोड़ दे. नहीं मुझे कैंसर नहीं होता, वो उसको हो जाएगा पहले, बाद में मुझे होगा, because he smokes more than me. That was my mentality, and that was wrong. So for no reason there was a lot of weight loss, and obviously थोड़ा idea तो था कि this is something big. And then I kept going to my local doctor, and he kept giving me antibiotics, and he never did really a deep study of why it's not getting better. He kept changing the antibiotics, like अच्छा ये नहीं तो ये try करिए. And then my mom one day, finally, my wife came down to the US. She was in a software job, and she got an opportunity, so she came down to the US, and I was there in Pune alone. So I was afraid to even breathe, because I had to pull air, and it was paining me. I could not eat food. It was paining. It was difficult swallowing. Then one day, I went to my mom's place to sleep. I said, "Dear Mummy, Munna, I'm afraid I won't get up in the morning if I can't breathe." And then she took me to Aditya Birla, bigger hospital there. And then they did an endoscopy. And then they found a tumor on my vocal cord. और फिर वहां से सब शुरू हो गया फिर मुझे so that is the point when I was telling you that कि वो hospital जा रहे थे तभी भी मुझे parking में I left my mom at the door gate. I said गाड़ी पार करके आता और मैंने एक सिगरेट वहां पे भी पी. I was so addicted to it कि मुझे मालूम है कि I don't know what's going to happen in the hospital, but let me smoke that cigarette over there. और वो cigarette पी. In fact, I had tried a lot at that point of time when I was losing weight and all. I kept my kids' photo in my wallet कि बाबा उसका photo देख के मैं पैसे ना निकालूं cigarette के लिए. Anything didn't work. So then the doctor when they figured out the tumor and they did a biopsy and it was stage 4 cancer. So because my wife was in the US, she decided to get me here. And then I was treated here again. By the time I was scanned in the US, the tumor had spread over my spine. क्योंकि stage 4 था तो aggressive था. It was spreading fast. तो यहाँ पे भी doctors बोले कि you just have like a month at the most at this. We cannot do. You're like outgone case. So so they tried chemotherapy, like it might shrink, it might not. So I had no option, but then I said, okay, Abhi, then it changed the way I started thinking. I said, Abhi, it was my fault, I have to fight it out. Whatever. Fortunately for me, I call myself the luckiest person on earth because I survived all this. After itna sab karke bhi I survived. So the tumor shrunk, the chemo worked. Again, they did a chemotherapy with radiation. And that all treatment went on for a year and a half. I lost so many things. I lost all my teeth because of the radiation. I lost my hair. I have scars all over my body because there were tubes in my body. And it's been a tough journey. But then finally, I beat the cancer. It's 7 years past. I still speak with only one vocal cord because the other one is paralyzed, the one that had the tumor on it. But then I realized that, life is more beautiful without any addiction. So
Absolutely.
yeah, definitely. So I go to schools and colleges. I show my pictures, my life before cancer, my treatment, my life after cancer. Like so, and then I give them a choice. Like, yeah, what do you want? I was able to survive cancer because I was lucky, or maybe whatever. God thought, okay, isko chance de do. Everyone does not get a chance. So then that is what I do. So apart from my job, I work as a fraud investigator. I do credit card and financial fraud investigation. So apart from that job, I do go to schools and colleges and try to just do this thing of helping kids quit smoking. Show my pictures. अगर मुझे किसी ने वो रेडिएशन के वो कीमोथेरेपी के वो गले में ट्यूब के फोटोज दिखाए होते while I was smoking, I would have at least thought the second time. So that is what I do. I show my pictures कि देखो ये मैं हूँ, ये मेरे pictures and that is true. And I show them my scars. Will you be able to handle all this pain and all that? तो छोड़ो, इतना पैसा waste हो जाएगा. My father had to sell all his property. My wife had to take loans. क्या मिला मतलब उनका तो कोई fault ही नहीं था ना. Because of me, they had to suffer a lot. So I try to explain all these things to them, and then if they understand, अच्छा है, कोशिश करता हूँ. अगर 100 में से भी 2 लोग ने भी नहीं smoke किया या they छोड़ दिया, then I think that's worth.
Yeah, it's an achievement. Yeah, it's
that's the way I go doing things. Yeah, my journey so far.
Yeah, this is something very inspiring thing, and I'm sure this is going to inspire a lot of people because see, people have to come to that stage. There is something I'll just explain you shortly that there are certain stages of mind. There are when a person first stage is pre-contemplation, where the person has not even thought of quitting. Like a fat person thinks he is not fat. I mean, in spite of everyone telling him he is overweight and he's fat, he doesn't feel he's fat. Because similarly, a smoker feels that he is okay with it. It is not going to affect him. Then they come to a stage which called as contemplation stage, where they start thinking about it, but they don't do anything about it. But they start just thinking, oh, I think if everyone is telling I'm fat, I must be fat. Or if everyone is telling I should do it, then I should make an attempt. But they don't do anything. Preparation is the next stage where the fat person books a gym, takes a gym membership, or the smoker gives a quit date. So that is a preparation stage. Then comes the action stage, where the fat person actually starts going to the gym. So he has taken that action, and where the smoker has taken the action and he has quit smoking. So that is the action stage. After that is again important where the maintenance or a relapse. where the fat person may continue to go to gym or he may stop going to it.
Yeah.
The smoker may continue to quit, or he would have some slips where he could smoke a single cigarette and again continue it, or probably if he's smoking 10 cigarettes, he's back to that 10 cigarette. That is a complete relapse. So this is the journey which is every stages of mind which every person is through. And as you said, this particular story, I'm sure that is going to inspire a lot of people to come from that pre-contemplation to a contemplation stage, or from contemplation to that preparation and action stage to take that actual decision. I'm glad that you have taken it as a mission and you are taking efforts to reach to people and to convey this message so that you don't land up into this problem and then decide and then take this decision. So yeah, it's really inspiring.
Yeah, thank you. I just need to give back because while I was in treatment, I was thinking like, it's not for me, but my family. And like, I used to feel bad for them. So it happens, like there may be so many people like me who never think of the consequences, but if you can just make them aware, kind of, hey, this can happen to you. Maybe they think. So yeah, but there was one question always in my mind, doctor. And from what I read about you, you've never smoked, right? So how do you know what it feels like or what happens to that person who is smoking? So it's so different. Like, it's like, it's like practice before you preach kind of thing.
Yeah. So the thing is, see, basically, first of all, this question has been asked to me several times. Yeah? I mean, you don't know the real instance of the real some patient to tell you that आपको पता नहीं इसमें कितना मजा आता है. But having said that, try to understand one thing, and this is something I'm glad that you asked this question because why do people get into addiction? For any kind of addiction, I'm not specifying only to limiting to tobacco or smoking only, but any kind of addiction. So there are four important reasons. This is senior psychiatrist Dr. Anand Nadkarni, who is contributed a lot in the addiction field. So he has given us four more important reasons. The first reason is the characteristic of those chemicals present in these substances. Means there is something in tobacco, there is something in alcohol, there is something in other drug substances. So there is something in tobacco which is called as nicotine. So this nicotine, the characteristic of nicotine is that it is itself addictive in nature. Nicotine is one of the most addictive substances found in the world. So like gold has some characteristics, silver has some characteristics. By characteristic, nicotine is addictive in nature. Means what? If 10 people are smoking cigarette for the first time, there are high chances that 7 to 8 of them might get into the addiction. So that high level is the addiction. I mean, that is a characteristic of that chemical. So it is going to do that. That is the first reason. Second reason is the person's personality. If your personality is, stronger, good enough, or you're able to say no to wrong things, so that kind of personality does make a difference. I have seen, just to give an example, I work with policemen. And I've come across policemen who don't even smoke, don't even drink also. I mean, in spite of all the stress and in spite of the stressful condition. So that is it. I mean, not all of them, but those who don't, they have that kind of personality where they could actually concentrate on, good diet and exercise rather than getting into this addiction. So personality plays an important role. That is the second reason. Third reason is friend and family support. If your friend circle and family support is good, you can get into it, and your friend and family support is good, you can get out of it. I'll give you a small case study for this. There was this Vietnam War which happened, and US soldiers were deployed in Vietnam, and this war lasted for a long time. But it was not much of an actual war; it was more of a Cold War. But the soldiers were given all the drugs at that time. But when the war got over and these soldiers were back to US, 99% of them were off all the drugs. Why? Because they were back to their family. So if the characteristic of the chemical like nicotine was the only reason, they should have continued it, but they did not do it because the friend and family support also plays a very important role. This is an actual case study. And the fourth one is the stressful condition. It is often observed that people are going to stressful conditions, the chances of them getting into this addiction is much higher. So if you see these four reasons, then I can justify that I have not consumed it and I'm okay with it. Because that is the most wrong concept that I should try everything, or that curiosity about trying new things. And people feel that in life we should always try everything at least once. So that is a wrong concept because these chemicals are so addictive. And fortunately, I did not get into it, and now I realize why I did not get into it and how lucky I was I did not do it, because even if you have that kind of personality, the characteristic can play a role. So these four factors are affecting you at a given point, and that is how people get into it. And there is the same reasons why I did not get into it. And but I know what are the consequences, because working in a medical field, I have seen people and families and all suffering, and what consequences they have to go through once they are into it.
Yeah.
So it gives, as a doctor, I mean, it's our moral responsibility not to just treat the patient, but also tell them what are the things you should do to remain healthy. So that is something what we should also promote as doctors, and that is what I'm doing.
Yeah, that makes sense exactly. The examples that you gave, like the Vietnam War and the policeman, and yeah, that makes you think. And family support is definitely it's very important, because they yeah. So I'm just reiterating the things in my life that happened, and yeah,
exactly. You can relate to it.
I can relate it to it. Yeah, exactly. And doctor, are there any more ill effects? Like we see all these, that movies, they show the heart, lungs, and the cigarette packets. They have all those pictures of those cancer pictures. Are there anything? I know it's bad, but anything that the general public may not know about smoking?
Like, yeah, I just good you raise this question, because I want to create some misconceptions about tobacco. So I just tell you some basic things about tobacco. So to begin with, tobacco, from where does tobacco come? So tobacco comes from tobacco farm. I mean, we know the products, but basically these are tobacco farms where these leaves, these shrubs are there, the tobacco farms are there. So tobacco farm is the only farm which doesn't require fencing. The reason being, even animals don't eat it. So my point is not that animals don't eat it. My point is that why animals don't eat it? Because if you take the tobacco leaf from the farm and give it to the laboratory just to understand what are the chemicals present into it, even at that time, even in the tobacco leaf from the farm has a lot of chemicals which are not good to the body, which are poisonous. Even nicotine is present at that time. Over a period of time, what happens is a lot of more chemicals are added. When the cigarette making companies make cigarettes or and other products are prepared, they add a lot of chemicals to it. And the recent research says that when a person is smoking a single cigarette, he is exposed to almost 4,000 to 7,000 chemicals. So out of this 4 to 7,000 chemicals, 200 are poisonous, 60 to 65 chemicals are proven carcinogenic. So imagine if a person is smoking a cigarette, a single cigarette, he is exposed to so many chemicals, out of it so many are poisonous, 200 are poisonous, 65 carcinogenic. And if you are taking those chemicals day in, day out, it is bound to impact your body. Each and every body part is affected. And what are these chemicals? So these chemicals are like, just to explain to the general public, so like there is ammonia in your detergent, there is cadmium in your batteries, there is acetone in your paints, and all this day-to-day what things we use. So nobody is going to eat their detergent powder, or nobody is going to eat the batteries. Why? Because they know this is poisonous. But when a person is smoking or consuming tobacco in any form, they're actually taking this hazardous chemical. It is as hazardous as those chemicals. So imagine a person taking these chemicals day in, day out. Definitely, it is going to have effect in your body. So that is why, cancer is definitely one major disease, but it's not only restricted to cancer. It has a lot of respiratory complaints, a lot of heart-related complaints, a lot of, infertility, impotency, and gangrenes. And tobacco has inherent capacity to kill your appetite. So tobacco, once the person is consuming, it will kill your appetite. So if your appetite goes down, you won't eat. And if you don't eat, your immunity will go down. Once your immunity goes down, you are susceptible to a lot of infectious diseases. And the most common in India is like tuberculosis. So 80% of TB patients are tobacco consumers. And in current scenario, even if you see the COVID, which is increasing, yesterday I saw a research in World Health Organization which says there are 50% more chances for a smoker to get COVID-19 infection. So that is a fact. So because there is a logic behind it. So because if your consumption of tobacco, your immunity is directly affected, and that is the reason you're more susceptible to the. And also smokers have their lungs compromised. So try to understand what is the reason. See, diseases and all is one thing, but to understand the basics of it, then you will come to know how dangerous it is and why it is impacting your health and why it is all these diseases happen. That is because it has a lot of hazardous chemicals which are affecting your body, and if you're consuming it day in, day out, definitely your body is going to get affected.
Yeah. Yeah, I get the point. Yeah, we are not going to go eat batteries or drink paint. So yeah, it's that other form that, yeah, that makes sense completely. Thank you for that, doctor. And I'm into a group called Youngsters Against Smoking. Like I try to uh, get people made into pairs. Like, if person A has left smoking, I will connect him with person B and try to like make them into pairs. But they find it very difficult. Like some same example, like what would you tell the family and friends of smokers? Like if you want to advise them or give them some tips, like hey, what you should do and how you should try to help the person smoking to
Yeah,
quit.
this is again a very important question. For those who already decided to quit, we normally give them a STAR strategy, STAR, the acronym STAR. So S stands for set a quit date. So it's the Western thing that we give a quit date, but I tell this is your quit day and this is your new birthday and this is you're going to celebrate next year this day. So that is, but there has to be some starting point. So that is a set a quit date. Second thing is tell your family members, your friends, and your co-workers. So why this thing is important to declare it or to inform your family members and include them into your quit process, as you asked the question, is because first of all, if you see the tobacco, the withdrawal symptoms, if you don't get tobacco or smoking, the withdrawal symptoms are most of them are psychological. You get irritable, you get anxiety. I mean, they are all anger. So they are mostly psychological symptoms. There are hardly any physical withdrawals. So the psychological withdrawals, it's bound that a person who is in the quitting process will get angry, will get irritable, and also the family support is important at that time. If the family doesn't support him at that time, he'll go back to the tobacco. That is one reason. Second reason for the friends and colleagues or your office colleagues, because they are into tobacco and they won't put in front of them so that it won't trigger the person again. So that is the reason, friend, you should, second thing is to tell your family, anticipate the challenge. That is the STA. Anticipate challenges means what? You should understand what are the difficulties this person has faced or does face when he doesn't get his particular tobacco product. He may face constipation or he may face any other thing like stomach ache or insomnia or difficulty in sleeping and all. So you should prepare him for that particular thing. Because what will happen is once he starts his journey of quitting and he is going to face this problem, he'll go back to the product. But if he's prepared with it beforehand, so you need to anticipate challenges, which is the most important step. And the fourth thing is remove all the tobacco products. That is the STAR. Remove all the tobacco products from your surroundings so that you don't trigger. Though this sounds very simple, but this does make a lot of impact for a person who is in the quitting journey. So this is some simple strategy what we tell the person to follow so that he can get out of it. And his friend and family support him. It is something like Alcoholic Anonymous. See, if a doctor tells the person about alcohol and Alcohol Anonymous is the person who is ex-alcoholic tells the person, that impact is definitely more. I mean, that is the reason why today Alcoholic Anonymous is an entire global phenomenon. We do have its branches in India also, and that has helped. I mean, thousands of people have quit with Alcoholic Anonymous. So even something for the similar kind to an addiction of, because alcohol is also an addiction and smoking is also an addiction. So even for the smokers, this might be helpful to some people, as you said, ex-smoker explaining them, they could relate to it and definitely they could understand what are the problems we face and probably how we could overcome it. And the success stories may help the other person also. And the quit buddy system is again, there are times where the person that might get into depression or because of the psychological withdrawals, he may need someone to talk to. Or the doctor may not be always available, but he needs someone who we can fall back, go back to when he's in this quitting journey, so that he sails to the what you can say, whatever journey it
Yeah,
is
kind of.
successfully. So that a quit buddy thing is again makes sense, and it will definitely we do promote such practices and involve family members and quit buddies when the person is in the quitting journey.
Yeah, yeah, that does help. Like, there are some things that you cannot talk to a doctor, like, and then I've seen that. It does help. Yeah. So, well, thank you for explaining all that in detail. And again, I've come across people when I talk to them, like, there are so many different types of addictions, like now hookah, and every time I see something new coming up, just the variant changes, the stuff is the same. So there are so many myths. Like people say hookah is not so dangerous. Then, uh, so what would you like to? How would you like to break that myth about it?
Another very important question, because this is the misconception, a lot of misconception, that is how people get into it. Another thing in India, there are a lot of misconceptions around tobacco products. So before beginning, I would like to clarify three things. The three what you can say thumb rules. First is, no matter what tobacco product it is going to be harmful. First thing, wherever whichever form it is, if there is tobacco, it is going to be harmful. Second thumb rule, no matter what quantity you are consuming it. If you're taking a single cigarette or two or three, that is not going to matter. It is, even if you're taking a smaller scale, still it is problematic. Third is, no matter what duration you are consuming it. It's not that only if you take it for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, only then it will affect you. If whatever duration you are taking it, it is still going to damage your body. So these three thumb rules are very important, no matter which tobacco product it is, no matter what quantity you are consuming it, and no matter what duration you are consuming it. So having said that, if you see any tobacco product for that matter, and specifically for hookahs, there are a lot of misconceptions around it. The thing is, like in India, 5 years back, the Supreme Court had revoked the law of started the hookah parlors again. But the reasons were totally different for that to start. That doesn't mean hookah the same. Research says that the hookahs are 4 times dangerous than cigarette. I mean, the hookah session is like not less than an hour, and consuming hookah for that much or exposure to hookah for that much time is as good as smoking 25 to 30 cigarettes. It is that dangerous. And second thing, no hookah is without tobacco. Even if there are flavors into it, the flavor packet will be written over there in this nicotine content so and so. But definitely nicotine is present, and other chemicals are definitely also there. Another thing is the coal, what is used while burning the hookah. If you are aware how the hookah is prepared, the coal itself is going to give you carbon monoxide gas. The carbon monoxide gas is the same gas Hitler used for the prisoners. It's the same poisonous gas. And something very important I'm going to tell you now about this is there is a disease called as interstitial lung disease. Not many people are aware of it, but this disease, what happens is, normally our lung is an elastic organ. Because of its, when we breathe, it expands. That is because of the elasticity. But in this particular disease, what happens is the elasticity is lost. It gets fibrous. It becomes like a stone. And there is no treatment available in any part of the world, in any country today, till date, for this interstitial lung disease. And the main reasons for this interstitial lung disease or ILD is cigarette smoking, BD smoking, and hookah smoking. I have personally seen patients with hookah smoking coming to a chest physician for this particular disease. So there are other reasons like pollution and industrial waste, but still the main reasons are cigarette, BD, and hookah smoking. So this is something which people are not aware about. And unfortunately, if you go to hookah parlors today, you see people at age group from 15 to 20 years. It's very unfortunate that these people are getting attracted to this. And this is like an entry point. Like this tobacco is entry point for other drugs, and this is an entry point for tobacco. Like you start with hookah and then graduate to other products. You start with e-cigarettes. Now, e-cigarettes is another thing which is coming up in a big way, and I mean, US is also facing a big problem because of it. This was introduced as a harm reduction technique, wrongly introduced as a harm reduction technique, but it is nothing going to reduce the harm because it is still going to have tobacco in liquid form, nicotine into it, and other chemicals into it. That is what you're going to inhale. There are batteries into it, and the combustion takes place, and same smoke you're going to inhale, and it is still going to have a lot of hazardous chemicals into it. World Health Organization has not yet approved any of the e-cigarettes, and there are companies, tobacco companies, who are promoting these e-cigarettes because they want more people to get into it so that they graduate into their tobacco products. So don't fall prey to all these things. There are different generations of e-cigarettes now. The Juuls have come up, vapes have come up, so they are also modifying e-cigarettes. Yeah. And there's a huge market for it, and today US is struggling for it. Fortunately, Indian government has taken a decision to ban e-cigarettes completely, but still you get it online, you buy it, you get it import from outside. But it's not far that our children would be exposed to it, but still it's a good decision. And e-cigarette is something, again, very misunderstood, and people feel there are a lot of misconceptions around it also. It is not going to help in any way, and a lot of research studies now coming up. It shows how it is impacting your body also. So there are a lot of these products, like even smokeless tobacco products, people feel it is more, it is less harmful than smoking. But again, they consume the nicotine in high quantity, and there are a lot of chemicals which are affecting. And in India, you'd be surprised, but today India is world #1 in oral cancers. India, the oral cancer rate is rising at a rate within 2012, 2018, it has almost more than doubled. At high speed, the oral cancers are increasing in India, and 90% reason for oral cancer is tobacco. But I think people feel the chewing tobacco is not that dangerous. So again, it's very unfortunate that this message has to be conveyed to more and more people, that this misconception somehow should be removed, because people are suffering because of it.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, let me also add to my story that I used to chew gutka. I used to chew gutka as well. So yeah, I was a bad boy. I've done everything. So because of you were talking about fibrosis, that made me reminded. Because of that gutka, I cannot open my jaw to the full limit. It's only like 3 fingers. So it's all the fibrosis in my cheek, and the radiation all made it all more worse.
Worse.
So yeah, definitely chewing tobacco is bad.
Yeah, one more point. Yeah, one more point I want to add. See, those people who are chewing tobacco, specifically chewing tobacco, research says more than 50% of those who have chewed tobacco for more than 3 years, more than 50% of this population will start showing some precancerous conditions like white spot in the body, like leukoplakia, or red spot like erythroplakia, or some people's fibrosis, the mouth opening reduces. So these are called as precancerous conditions. And if the person doesn't stop at that point also and continues consuming it, this is definitely going to lead the person into cancer. I mean, there is no second thought about it. So these precancerous conditions also need to be picked up at an early stage, and that should we should motivate that person by showing that this is the beginning, and if you don't do it, you're going to let up, and we should provide him with a proper strategy and help to get him out of it.
Yeah, definitely. It is. I'm so. I go to schools and all. I speak to kids. The last year I'd been to India. I went to a school in Pune, and the kid came down with. And then I make them take a promise, like no, promise me everybody you won't smoke or you won't do this, and then after the school they do come around me and they try to talk when the teachers are not there. So one kid came, he pointed out another kid, 7th standard, like 10 years old. He smokes. I called him, why do you smoke? No, I don't smoke cigarette. I smoke that, what do you call that? E-cigarettes. And then I said, why? And he showed me, it was like that pen drive kind of thing.
Yes.
And I said, this is, so I spoke with him for a half an hour. I tried to explain to him, but I was so shocked. 7th standard kid. He was just one, there might be many. And then
even I have witnessed a school and principal at Colby where they had found a e-cigarette in the 8th standard kids bag. Continue.
Exactly. The parents don't understand that it's an e-cigarette, because even I never knew it was that small. Because pen drive kind of thing. And then to add to it, he showed me a video. Somewhere in Pune, in Aun, there's a place where they make samosas kind of thing, which has smoke. When you eat it, the smoke comes out. And I was like, my God, and they challenge each other, like the burning thing and all that. It's scary. Like, you don't know when kids fall into for fun thing, they go to do some fun thing and they get hooked up to all these addictions. It's scary, really.
Exactly.
And to add to this, do you would you advise any strategies or any can you quit like cold turkey, or is it difficult to do that? You need to go by some steps, or how would you advise on people wanting to quit?
Yeah, it is. Every addiction, every person is different. It has to be more or less customized strategy. But I can give some generalized tips for quitting. See, cold turkey, and this is something. It is again very individual. But I generally prefer cold turkey only. The reason being, there are good changes happening in your body. So when a person falls down and gets an injury, that injury doesn't remain for lifelong, because there is a regeneration happening in the body. The wound heals up. Similarly, even when you stop smoking, there are a lot of good changes happening in the body. So there is a proper research on it. Within 20 minutes of quitting smoking, your blood pressure and heart rate drops down. Within 12 hours, your blood carbon monoxide level drops down. Within 2 to 12 weeks, your lung function test starts improving. Within 5 to 10 years, your risk to stroke and paralysis and heart attack drops by 50%. Within 15 years, you are as good as a non-smoker for any cardiovascular disease risk. So all these changes are happening. But if you are saying that I'm going to reduce and quit, the body won't get a chance to repair completely. So it will be a longer duration. But again, there are a lot of debate. It's a debatable issue because again, every individual is different, and some might reduce and quit. But I don't prefer that. I prefer the person is quitting completely, because we are there to support him in whatever helps he requires for the withdrawals. So when if you are ready to support the person and with a regular follow up and whatever difficulty is going to face and do that hand holding, so we can take the responsibility of that person, and that is definitely the best way that I think. But there may be different views, opinions on it. Having said that, the strategies, as I already explained, we can give them a star strategy, and we can do some sort of generalized tips like coping mechanism. When they get an urge to smoke, I mean, you can also explain it. This urge lasts when it's very strong for the first 5 minutes, and then within 20 minutes it disappears. If a person is able to control himself for the first 5 minutes, like 3 to 5 minutes, then eventually he can overcome that urge. So we give them certain tips, like either you can use some alternatives, like if you're chewing tobacco, you can have any like long elaichi in your mouth, or you can have a chewing gum in your mouth so that it keeps your oral gratification.
Okay.
Or we can give them some 4D strategy. It's a simple strategy like 4Ds, English letter D, D for Delhi. Like drink water. If you feel like get an urge to smoke, just take a glass of water and drink it sip by sip. Drinking water also calms you down. So that strategy also, when you're drinking, your mind is diverted towards drinking. Second is deep breathing. Now also you're breathing. Once you start doing deep breathing, your whole attention is on your breathing. So that strategy also works. Third is delay. I mean, you tell yourself that, okay, I will have it, but I will have it after some time, and keep on delaying it. This may sound simple, but it has really worked with so many people. And fourth is do something else, or engage yourself in some other work. So doing something else will automatically divert your mind.
Yeah.
Also. So these are simple strategies like drink water, deep breathing, delay, and do something else. That also can be followed and help people to get out of it. Of course, if there is physical dependence and patient might find it difficult, it can be supported by nicotine replacement therapies. Now again, there are different forms of it. It could be a chewing gum or a patch and all. So this basically how this nicotine replacement therapy works. Since you have asked about the question, I would just extend this answer. This nicotine replacement therapy, again, there is a lot of misconception. This nicotine chewing gum is well known among people, but they don't know how it actually works. And unfortunately, it's an OTC product. I mean, you don't require a prescription for it. You can buy it on your own. So that is the wrong thing. You should take all this nicotine patches or Nicotex chewing gums with the expert's advice, because it has to be in a proper dose. It is available in the 4 milligram and 2 milligram potency. If you're not taking the right dose, it is not going to benefit you. Second is there is a proper method of having it. It's the chew and puff method. Again, the patches also have to be put in the proper pattern. Third is the dose has to be tapered. With regular follow-up and counseling, we don't want a patient continue with the chewing gum for lifelong. So it has to be tapered, and eventually, with the support of counseling, they should come out of it. So all these things are there. The expert can give them proper guidance. So following this nicotine replacement therapy or chewing gums and patches blindly is not going to benefit. But definitely, if they get a proper expert guidance, this can be a part of the treatment. It is not the entire treatment, but it can definitely benefit them to get out of this habit. So yeah, these are some strategies we use normally for tobacco cessation. But as I said, it is more a personalized thing, because every person has a different mindset and different whatever problems he's facing. So depending on that, we give him a strategy.
Yeah, that makes sense, because what I used to think is like एक addiction से छूटो और दूसरे को पकड़ो, like you
yeah, that is good you raise this point. See, the thing is that is the logic behind NRT. Like our brain is not concerned. So when you're smoking, as I told you, we are smoking. We are taking in 4,000 to 7,000 chemicals, out of which 200 are poisonous and 65 are carcinogenic. But out of this, brain only wants nicotine. Nicotine is the requirement of the brain. Nicotine is the main addictive substance. Other chemicals, brain is not concerned. That is what we get in, but brain doesn't want that. It just wants that nicotine. When nicotine reaches the brain, dopamine is released. Dopamine is a feel-good hormone. I mean, just to explain you, it's the same dopamine is released when you watch your favorite movie or your favorite food is in front of you. Same feel-good factor. So this dopamine is released. That is why the brain just wants nicotine and nothing else. Now, brain is not concerned from where this nicotine is coming. That is why the product shift happens. If a doctor tells a person that your heart, you are affected by blood pressure, you should stop smoking. He will go out and stop smoking and start other product. That is what happened when people, this Gutka was banned in Maharashtra, but they big that it is still available in black, smuggled and all, but the price has gone high. So people have shifted their product. So that is the reason why this product shift happens. And the same logic is being used for nicotine replacement therapy, where whether you get the urge to smoke, you put a nicotine patch or chewing gum, which gives the nicotine to the receptors, and the receptor urge subsides. So you are replacing nicotine from tobacco into a cool form, and that is helping you to overcome the urge. So it is called as nicotine replacement therapy, replacing nicotine from tobacco into a cool form. Of course, it is available in different forms, like a patch or a chewing gum or a lozenges. It's a different form, but the logic behind that is important. Once you know this logic, then you can use it properly.
Yeah. That was a very good answer. Like, yeah, because people just, give this excuse and they run away. Oh, I've quit, but I'm on that. But you're still addicted, boss. If you- मतलब अभी भी लटके हो. So that is what they have to understand. Well, doctor, it was nice for you.
Yeah, one more last question I want to ask you. So, what are your, what are your experiences when you talk with this, children, and you spread these messages? I want to know more about that, because that is what is going to benefit more people.
Yeah, actually, a vast kind of experience. Kind of when I go to schools and all, and I speak to these students who are basically below 10th standard, they have a different reaction than the college students. So the students who are smaller in age, they practically don't smoke. But the point is that they don't smoke in future. That is my aim. But then they come out to me and most of them are almost in tears when they see my pictures because they are so scary. And then they say, sir, आप मेरे dad से बात करोगे क्या या आप मेरे बड़े भाई से बात करोगे क्या? They smoke or maybe they are into some bad habit. So that makes me feel कि they are worried about their parents because they don't want them to go through all this. So that is a different way. And then,
Really touching.
yeah, so in fact, the last time when I met the principals in the school, I asked them that you need to get the parents to listen to this also because it is for them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So they are not impacting the younger ones in such a bad way. They don't even realize it. कि उस पे क्या effect हो रहा है. So and then apart from this, when I go to the elder students, like the bigger ones, so either they don't come if they don't want to quit, they just don't attend the sessions, or they will come up with reasons कि मेरी गर्लफ्रेंड छोड़ के गई है या मुझे बहुत टेंशन है. All these lame reasons which I used to give at one point of time. So I tell them that I've been through this, boss. It's not going to help. And then the only way I think is cold turkey. What I agree with you exactly, because yeah to chodo. I had a colleague, and when I used to work in Wipro and Pune, I had a colleague with me, and he was passive. He used to smoke like every hour. I was not that high in smoking. And then one day in the break, I asked him, "Chal sutta marne jate." So he said, "No, I left." I thought he didn't want to come with me, so I didn't really take him seriously. Couple of days happened, I didn't see him in the smoking zone. And I went to him and I asked him, "Man, seriously, did you leave smoking?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Kaise?" Jaise pakda waise choda. And it was so like, what's the big deal? And I'm like, yeah, I hope I can be like you. So to honestly tell you, doctor, there is every question comes in a different way. That is the reason I started this group that so kids can chat with me one-on-one. They don't talk when the teachers are there or when they're in the school or when they are among the friends. They don't open up that. So first I need to build the confidence that, okay, I won't tell your dad, okay? Tell me.
Yes, the trust factor is important.
Yeah, so they are hesitant at the first. And when then they they tell my friend smokes, even if they are smoking, वो किसी और के shoulder पे बंदूक रखेंगे. He does. So then I understand. Now we are not kids. So from experience, I understand. Okay, then I just pacify them and I try to take them in confidence. And then at times I even reach out to their parents and tell them, see, this is don't take it in the other way, but I'm just trying. We just need to help your kid. So I believe in counseling. It is definitely for kids, especially definitely to take in the parents in the loop, and all of them together can help. That is what I thought. I'm not a professional counselor or anything, but from what I learned,
Yeah, you don't require to be. I mean, if someone asks me what is the, criteria, like a job criteria to get into this profession of tobacco cessation, I always tell them it is your passion. That is the main criteria. I mean, you may be a doctor or a nurse or any other, even a medical social worker. That doesn't matter. What matters is you have to be passionate for the cause, because you're going to talk with people and they are human beings, and you will face a lot of struggle, and you will face a lot of I mean, the person may not be always successful. You have to keep your passion on continuously. So that something is again not easy also. That is why many doctors don't practice it also.
yeah,
And it is not an easy job. Yeah, but I just wanted to add a small thing with the student thing. I missed it is that tobacco is definitely dangerous, and you know all about it. But supari or arak nut, that is something where people feel again there's a misconception, and these children especially, they get into the habit of this pan masalas, and eventually this pan masalas, and then they graduate to other products. So pan masalas are nothing but supari, and the supari arak nut. There's a lot of research now says that supari has causes submucous fibrosis, causes cancers, and a lot of evidence are there. So this misconception I also want to clear in this our episode, that this supari or arak nut and pan masalas should, I see to it that the children don't get into it. Unfortunately, the law talks only about tobacco, and the tobacco companies are not allowed to promote it. But unfortunately, the actors whom these children idolize, like Ajay Devgan comes with a Zuba Kesti for Vimal.
Yeah.
Vimal
yeah,
also having a gutka, and Vimal is also making a pan masala. You will have Priyanka Chopra talking about Baba Elaichi, and the Baba is more famous for the gutka brand.
yeah,
Similarly, Akshay Kumar, who is a fitness freak, he talks about some pan masala. It's very unfortunate that these people are doing it for money, but they don't realize the generations are getting spoiled because of it. And the children today who are into pan masalas, they are the who graduate to other products slowly, and they get into the gutka. Even if you see the packaging, the color and everything is similar, so it is that misleading. And these tobacco companies come up with such pseudo marketings, and actors do it for money. But in India, unfortunately, the actors are idolized in a big way, and that is something very unfortunate, and the children fall prey to it. So our, we can say, fight is with this big tobacco lobbies and big people. So we should keep on ourselves motivated every time, and you should always remember one thing, that if, like you said in the beginning itself, that even two people get benefited from your session. It's a big thing, because you're not helping a person, you're helping an entire family. That is always, you should remember that you are doing something good for people, and that is going to give you that motivation to keep on doing it. So yeah, that was about it, and I would really thank to give me this opportunity, and being I'm always passionate for this cause, and meet people who are at the same level, and promoting this cause. So definitely together we could do much better things, and I don't want, and I don't think that this should be our last interaction. We'll keep on doing more such events wherever possible, in different forms, and exchange our knowledge, and whatever best possible we can do for the society, and this particular cause we can contribute from our ends. And you can vouch for me anytime you require me, and I will definitely contact you whenever I need any help from your side. And we will definitely, on this eve of World No Tobacco Day, I'm really happy to have this kind of conversation with you. Would like to tell audiences Mehul sir is sitting in US, and I am in India, and we are still talking so passionately about this topic. This shows how close this topic is to his and my heart. And we want more and more people to benefit out of this, and take it seriously, talk to their loved ones, help their loved ones. Whatever possible help from our side, we are always there. And all those people who are not into this habit, please don't get into it, and help others who are into it. So it was really pleasure talking to you, and definitely looking forward for more work together.
Yeah, definitely, doctor. If you feel, wherever you feel that I can counsel anyone, or I can be an example, feel free. I've been through it. I'm lucky to survive it, and I'll definitely share my experience with.
Yeah, we should also thank the organizer also, the Zen team.
Yeah, Dimple. Yeah, thank you so much, Zenonco Dimple.
Yeah, Dimple ma'am. Yes. Dimple ma'am has always been unconditional support, and I have been following her, and her work is commendable. The work she's doing, and I'm happy to get associated with her in some way and contribute in my way, a small way, whatever I could, and definitely keep up your good work, Iqbal ma'am, and wherever you need our support, we will always be there for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Thank you, doctor. I'll get back to you
Yes,
soon.
yes.
Have a good one.
Yes, yes.
Bye.
All the best.